All right, so let's talk about the criminal cabal who basically run everything to basically pillage and plunder from us and from the rest of the world. And who are these world class terrorist criminals? Well, that would be your so-called political leadership and the bureaucracy, the ones that stand are appointed to the tops of the bureaucracy, and whether it's from your local to your state or federal, they all are self-serving. Look out for number one, and they don't care about you or about anything else. And they have been for centuries driving the economic, financial, ecological, climatic, and terrorist actions that are destroying the very planet, the one true home we all share in common. They're killing the wildlife. They're killing the plants. They're destroying the microbial ecosystem with their dumping of toxic materials all over the place, and due to the way the weather patterns and the climate and how everything moves, all this travels on the winds, when we're walking, when we're riding in our cars or flying, or we're in boats, submarines, or in all these wars of all these terrorist wars that our political criminals prosecute, constantly causing terror and making people flee. In this thing with the media, where you get they project this idea that the United States and the West are such virtuous places, but they're the ones driving the immigration. They're the ones destroying the economic, financial, as well as the land, the air, the water, the oceans. They're the ones driving it all. And media, whether it's your Hollywood, whether it's your TV shows, it's all geared and it's all intertwined. And East Palestine, Ohio, is a prime example. And this is not the first time such wanton terrorism and financial and economic and health and everything else has taken place. There's the movie Aaron Brockovich. Then there's the one movie with John Travolta where he plays a lawyer fighting something like what happened in East Palestine. these so-called corporations who are nothing more than terrorists, dumping toxins, or expediting things so that they don't have to spend money or effort or time to clean up the mess that they made. And the reason that they can do that is because the so-called regulatory agencies don't serve you; they serve these corporate mafia terrorists. That's basically what it is, and they're the ones driving, buying the allegiances of the political, and they're the ones that allow these corporations, through the judicial, through law enforcement, through everything, to commit what they do. They're the ones driving the wars that go all over the place to pillage and plunder, to keep the third world, now the global south, their livelihood, their economy, their infrastructure, their growth, static, and and then they always start, immigrants, except it's these wars, it's these coup regimes that's pulled, that put in these largely Western descendants in South Central America and Mexico, in Australia, New Zealand, and then you take into consideration, Japan and South Korea are part of the West, and and of course you can't put a white face on it, but you can put other fascist political terrorists into the leadership, into the so-called leadership of Japan and South Korea, because they may not be white, but they're sure as hell part of the West. And if you're paying attention, Japan had a prime minister that was an ex-prime minister who was recently shot by a Japanese soldier, and this guy was that Japanese PM was the grandson of a World War II criminal, and he carried on the legacy of his grandfather proudly, and this new one doing the same thing. I mean, he was shot by this Japanese soldier because he was pushing a cult that dedicated itself to criminally fleecing the public. And that's what we should be doing. We should be taking out these criminals because they're not legitimate. They're not legitimate. And someone needs to do the same thing to Fumio Kishida, the newest brand of political terrorist mafia in Japan. And the same thing in South Korea. But what do they all have in common, along with the ones in Sri Lanka and in Africa, and in Southeast Asia, and it's like, you got Ferdinand Marcos' son, in power in Philippines. And whoa, lo and behold, he allows 4 military bases, 4 new military bases, U.S. military bases, to be opened in the Philippines. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that this guy Boom Boom or something like Marcos. The fact that he did, because Ferdinand Marcos was the father was a U.S. puppet, and so it doesn't take a genius to figure out that Boom Boom Marcos is going to do what his father did. And people seem to forget that the Philippines was a U.S. colonial possession until the Filipinos ended up ousting the United States. And you know how the United States got possession of the Philippines? It was a Spanish colonial possession, and Spain was trying to keep possession of it from the natives. And the Philippines is not the indigenous name, the original indigenous name for those islands. I forget what the indigenous name was, but what happened was the U.S. sent a small fleet with an American admiral when the indigenous of the Philippines were fighting to kick the Spanish out, and that admiral said to the Spanish, "Oh, we'll help you fight the indigenous." And then they also went to the indigenous and said, "Hey, we'll help you fight the Spanish, kick them out, so you can get your independence." And then, so they were doing the both sides. And so when the Spanish lost, the U.S. stepped in, doing the exact same thing that the Spanish did, committing genocide, wholesale slaughter, and then basically annexing the Philippines, saying, "Hey, you're now a territory of the United States." And Ferdinand Marcos became is just one in a long line of traitorous, murderous, dictatorial, autocratic killers that served themselves and bowed down to whatever the United States and before then Spain said. So what does that have to do with East Palestine? Well, and the John Travolta movie where John Travolta played a lawyer fighting against corporate criminality, and Aaron Brockovich. What does that mean? And East Palestine, they committed terrorism. They poisoned East Palestine, Ohio, and that's going to spread all around. Pittsburgh is like I think they said 40 miles away from East Palestine. And remember what I said? It travels. It travels. So if you're looking into it, you know that small animals and people that there's been interviews done by the Gray Zone that went to East Palestine and talking to the residents in East Palestine and about how the day it happened, people that stepped out, they got a massive burning sensation in their lungs and other irritations. And that's we know that some years down the line, you're going to see, you're going to hear about an epidemic of cancers and other neurological and other diseases, which is going to kill or bankrupt or seriously impact the health and the finances of these people. So, and we'll probably hear that it's spread, and this is the same thing. If you pay attention, it's happening in it's happening in California. It's happening in Massachusetts. It's happening in Pennsylvania. It's like the fracking, which has caused earthquakes in Pennsylvania. Some years ago, because I live fairly close to Lancaster. It's about 45 minutes away, 40 or 45 minutes away from me, and they do fracking over there, and we know that fracking causes earthquakes. So, and the benzene and other toxic substances that they use in there gets into the water, gets into the soil, gets into the animals, into the plant life, in the waterways. It's all interconnected. And let's face it, if you're honest, that's terrorism, and it's corporate driven. This has been going on for decades upon decades upon decades. For literally centuries. And this war in Ukraine. It's just another of the another symptom of the criminal nature. Things that if we held these people accountable, they should be the ones going on death row. They should be the ones serving a life sentence without parole, spending the rest of their lives in prison. But we have them running. These corporations running prisons. And if you know about private prisons, you know that they make it so that they use the police, the FBI, and every other source to they're basically put more people in or keep those people in. And a lot of people go in for things that are completely and utterly fabricated and lies, and that's because you got judges. And the history is that way back they used to call these people robber barons. Why? Because they acted like robbers. And the reason why they were called barons is because they had a lot of money, a lot of control. Good example, you had the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts, hiring judges to paying judges and hiring judges to make competing oh crap, what is the word, competing judgments for because the Vanderbilts and Rockefellers were using their money and to because they were both They were both trying to gain control and more power and monopoly over the railroads. And both the Rockefellers and Vanderbilts hired thugs to do terrorist acts. That's what. And if you're honest and you're paying attention, you know that these political terrorists, with their henchmen in the CIA and the DIA and the DEA and the FBI and all these so-called intelligence agencies, to buy terrorist thugs. That created the Mujahideen, who morphed into Al Qaeda, and then ISIS and Al Shabaab, and all these other terrorists. That you constantly hear about. So it's all intertwined. And I mentioned the Gray Zone article, video piece that they did going to East Palestine. It's like, the people are talking, they're saying things, but it's like they should be really animated. They should be really passionate. They should be getting irate and outraged. And they should be saying, we're going to come together, and then we're going to come after you, governor. We're going to come after you, mayor. We're going to come after you, the police chiefs. You got the state police, the Ohio State Police, and the police in East Palestine, basically allowing private Norfolk, I think it's South or Southern, its own security, basically enforcers, but they call them private police. But all it is they're Norfolk Southern's mafia enforcers. They're paid to be terrorize and to keep people from looking out after the community. The interests of the community. And then you have the police abdicating their responsibility, and you have the mayor and the governor abdicating their responsibility. It's all interconnected. It's all interconnected. It's all terrorism. And this is how they do it. If you think they can do it in the United States, they sure as hell they can do it elsewhere. I'm totally against sending fellow Americans to go thousands of miles to kill, pillage, and plunder. This story is about how U.S. troops were guarding poppy fields in Afghanistan. How in Syria, in northeast Syria, U.S. troops are basically there to guard the illegal annexation by the U.S. of northeast Syria, along with the help from Turkey, or Turkey as they want to call it. But basically, Erdogan is a fucking terrorist himself. He's a political terrorist. He does it, he may not be completely under the thumb of the U.S. and the West, but he certainly is a terrorist. And, he sent military in. And because he's part of NATO, it's okay. It's okay for Turkey to send an invasion force. This is how it works. This is how the This is how the pie is made. And so it's something that always confuses the fuck out of me. People always talk about their, about loyalty, and patriotism and all that. It's like, where's your loyalty to your fellow Americans? Like those in East Palestine, like those in California, where they have a fucking toxic waste dump. I forget a super site. That's bleeding. Bleeding out the highest amounts of highest rated toxic things. Where they dump use uranium. Use nuclear waste, and they're putting in all these heavy toxic heavy metals, and then there's the what's happening in East Palestine, these forever chemicals that linger there for literally centuries to 1,000 years, or the use of depleted uranium in Iraq, that's causing cancer, or Agent Orange in Vietnam. Or the shit that they do in South America, or Venezuela, what they've done in, with the complicity of the Mexican, so-called Mexican government. You can say what you want about AMLO of Mexico, but the plain fact of the matter is, he's got a bunch of fucking murderous criminal thugs, and there's a lot of so-called police in Mexico who are part of it, just like the FBI, just like the CIA was part of the drug smuggling, and it's to fund the CIA. Says it even in the disclosed stuff about when the Air America, how it was a CIA front, and how they were smuggling heroin and other things, other drugs, and they were doing that to make money. Or the Iran-Contra affair, right? Where again, it was so-called intelligence, along with the complicity of others, to smuggle guns, and they were buying guns and other illegal shit to send to the Contras. There's the two fucking opium wars in China. And how the British ended up getting Hong Kong and Macau and so on and so forth. Or how they did that when they took territory in China. Due to the first and second opium war, they broke apart and they said, "Oh, we're gonna take this, and you're gonna allow us to do whatever the fuck we want because we're a fucking mafia, we're fucking terrorists, we're a criminal cabal, and we will do whatever the fuck we want, and you have nothing to say about it." And the Chinese so-called leadership, they were too busy being stupid elitist fucks not to understand. They were so concerned about about themselves that they didn't want to invest in stuff like muskets and boats, boats that could that types of boats and guns that were used in the West, because they were so concerned about their own people turning them on them. And that's what China did for a long time. But the thing is they were muskets, but they were inferior, and also because you know they didn't. But at the same time, in China they didn't really you know they weren't proficient with those. And if the Chinese leadership had been enlightened enough to think about doing this, and then not allowing and working to not allow domestic concerns, because there's always a power play going on. Had there been more forward thinking, they would have, China would never have suffered the century of humiliation. Something that the CPC, not the CCP, you fucking morons, you fucking idiots. It's the CPC, the Chinese, the Communist Party of China, not the Chinese Communist Party. So, that's what the CPC is doing. They took the lessons. They're forward thinking. And because of that, the Chinese, the CPC has made sure that they have a military, they have an economy, they have the infrastructure to truly defend. They actually do have a defense department. We have a terrorist offensive, hostile mafia. That's what it's, the Department of Offense, the Department of Pillage and Plunder and murder. That's what we have. And so, just like when the British, they were the exact same way. And the French, and the Portuguese, and the Germans, and the Spanish. It's the Dutch. They're all the same. They're all the same. The Nazis at least were truthful when they said, when they appointed the Ministry of Propaganda. I mean, they didn't mince their words. At least the Germans were honest about that. We have the Ministry of Propaganda. That's your CBS, your NBC, your New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, your MSNBCs, your NPRs, your PBS, your Deutsche Welle, your BBC, your Guardian, your Sky, your ABC, Australian Broadcast Company, and the crap, I forget what the Canadian one is. Anyways, they're all Ministry of Propaganda. They lie to you constantly. There are so many fucking Americans and Westerners who take the shit that comes out of Hollywood, or in the case of Japan and South Korea. It's like they have their own versions. So it's really fucking weird how so many Americans and so many Westerners seem to get their fucking history, their fucking these unrealities from watching Hollywood and watching TV shows such as CSI and Quantico and Bones, and it's like, and believe me, I fell for a while, actually for a long while, until I started actually investing time and effort to educate myself, to inform myself. I remember repeating the shit I hear on the news, or repeating shit from and taking it as fact. It isn't. It isn't. It's, and that's where the ignorance, and so many of us Americans are utterly ignorant. And I made a video about how we love our ignorance, because our ignorance is stupidity. That's what it comes. Ignorance equals stupidity, and we love our stupidity. And we can't think outside of our emotional unrealities. We can't think with clarity. It's like, at least with me, as growing up, I used to say, even when I was young, I'm like, huh? How does that make sense? And I remember this clearly. Asking, I was like, either thinking or asking. I'm like, huh? Why? At least I had that. Which is probably why, through all the years, because I used to do that a lot, mentally, or asking. I'm like, oh, all right, what about this? So therefore, I take this time, but there are so many Americans that don't. It's willful denial. It's willfulness, willful ignorance. And that's how I view people, like, this fucking tragedy, this unimaginable, horrific evil that was done in East Palestine. And people are talking in this almost casual way. They're expressing, they express, as I said, watch the Gray Zone piece on that. When they should be doing what I'm doing, being passionate and animated the way I am. That offends me. That makes me murderously homicidal against the perpetrators and those who abdicate their responsibility. But it starts with the people in East Palestine. They need to be as animated. They need to be as forceful. They need to be as outraged as I am for themselves, because I certainly am outraged for them. And that's the problem. If the people in East Palestine showed this the depth of passion and outrage that I did, I'd be over there lining up to get a gun put into my hand and fucking storm those motherfuckers. Drag their asses out and shoot them like the fucking dogs they are. Because they're devil dogs. But we don't have people. Even the independent media. I respect them, but they talk in these monotones. These, rather than showing the passionate outrage we should be showing. And I'm not talking about black militant group going out, and marching with guns and armor, or these fucking other these so-called white patriot militias. They stand around. You want to take care of things without having to go after your fellow Americans, and you want to march on these fucking criminals. I'm all in. I'll go over. I'll pick up a gun. Give me a gun. I'll pick it up. But we don't have that, because there are plenty of these ethno-nationalist militias in the U.S. These tough guys, who spout the racist and nationalist sentiments, and usually it's about white nationalist. It's not about nationalism, including everyone, including people that look like me, including black people, including the indigenous of this country. Basically everything. Collective nationalism. To stand up for the whole of the community, right? And knowing who to go after. And a lot of these guys even talk about who's, but then they spout the propaganda, the BS that their fathers and the mothers and their grandparents learned from colonial times, and even before then, because there was that white ethno-fascism that was rampant all over the Western Europe. It's a fucking disease. It's a horrible disease which warps the mind, warps the spiritual part of people. It's a fucking deadly disease, because it certainly doesn't serve you, but it serves the very people who drive that, who have seeded that. Why? Because it's useful to them. Because it keeps you divided. It keeps you thinking that you're somehow superior, even though you're facing the same economic, financial, and other issues of the very people that you're used to repress others, your fellow people. When am I going to see this democracy? When am I going to see this equality? When am I going to see this? I don't care if you call yourself a liberal, conservative, libertarian, or whatever other fucking garbage. You either view everybody as an American, as a fellow human being, part of the community of Earth, or you're not. And you're part of the ignorant-driven stupidity that serves the interests of the world's worst fucking criminals. The ones that are causing you all of your problems. And the reason why they can do that is because you can't see it. You don't want to see it. You're willfully ignorant. Because I hear a lot of these people pointing the same shit as I just said, and then they go turn around and say, "Oh, it's fucking people that look like me, or black people, or indigenous, or fucking It's China. It's Russia. It's fucking Venezuela. It's Cuba. It's fucking everybody else, except for the very people that are caused. And you want to talk about woke? You want to talk about woke? That's being woke. That's being woke. I want true collective community. Because I understand together we are the foundation, the backbone and the engine. That it is up to us to create the world which will serve us collectively, which will progress us forward, which will when we do a job, when we do work, and we come up with it, we collectively serve each other by doing that. You know, when we understand that it is, you can have the greatest fucking idea in the world, but and I keep saying this in my videos, you can have the greatest fucking idea in the world, but if you don't have the people to help you, to put the labor in, to make it, what have you got? You got a fucking idea. That's it. You ain't getting it fucking made. And you don't need money to make it. What you need is people. Your fellow Americans, your fellow Italians, your fellow Chinese, your fellow Venezuelans, your fellow Italians, your fellow Japanese, your fellow Koreans. It doesn't fucking matter. You don't need money to do that. There's a great example in China. I forget the name of the name of the town or the area, but you know, it's like they were dirt poor. They didn't have a lot of money. They had a problem. They didn't have enough water. So what did that community do? They came together. They scrounged up what little they could, but they made up for the rest of it by actually utilizing skills and knowledge of others. And they created diverted this water in this very complex thing. They didn't have heavy machinery and all that stuff. They made what they needed. They utilized the knowledge and skills, and they diverted and created this phenomenal thing to bring water into their community, so that they could grow the food and have the drinking water, and they did that. They did that with almost nothing. They used their communal human capital to accomplish that. Something that, you know, like, we always seem to think that we need money to do this. And I keep talking, you know, and if you don't want to go pick up a gun, and then start thinking the way I'm thinking. Come together as a community. Share the skill and knowledge, like those people in China did. When the central government didn't have the money, didn't have the organization to send help, the local community and the central government didn't impede them. They did it themselves. Hey, they saw a problem, they solved it, and the central government wasn't there to say, oh no, you need to have private capital to do this. That's the only way you're going to get it done. Okay? And they didn't come and say, oh, the regulation says this, regulation says that. Oh, we need to make it. They allowed them to do what they needed to do. See, that's the real capital. It's human capital. It's what we know and the skills that we have. And sharing it as a community. But we see examples of, we see examples of how when we try in us so-called free country, we get stopped because regulations say, or rules say that, or this or that, or you need a fucking license, you need this, come on, put your fucking money where your mouth is. Don't talk to me about patriotism. Don't talk to me about freedom. Don't talk to me about democracy. Don't give me this liberal or this fucking right wing or whatever the fuck you want to call it bullshit. Do it. Don't take it lying down, because just talking in a calm monotone about a monstrously criminal action that's been perpetrated on you, that later on is going to bankrupt you, is going to make you homeless, or it's going to kill your loved ones, or your family and your friends and your community. Do it. It's easy. It's easy. And if they send the enforcers in, and because they have a badge, and you know what you say? Fuck you. You say fuck you. If you come in here and you try to stop us from what we need to do to secure our community, all right, we're gonna use force right back. We're gonna use force right back. And such things like that, local other communities around you should be coming together to back you up. If we all had that mindset. They are exactly like the mafia, and they use the police as enforcers. The police are nothing more than mafia enforcers. And whether you call it law or rule or regulations, it's still a mafia. It's still a mafia. And you are an enforcer for that mafia. If everything is equal and the law applies to everybody, and when you see the police being used as mafia and even going around and doing the violence of the mafia, breaking the law, and whether you call yourself a senator or a town manager or a mayor or whatever the fuck you want to call yourself, but you're breaking the law, then guess what? Don't we have a right for citizen's arrest? So use it. Don't we have laws saying that you can for self-defense? Use it. It's that simple. You cannot protect yourself. You cannot protect your family. You cannot protect your family. Your community, if you allow others to break the law and give exceptions for it. Then law is meaningless. Rules are meaningless. Get passionate, get angry, get creative. Come together as a community. A community is a collection of people. People make up a community. Communities make up a country. It is not Washington. It is not your mayor's office. It is not your police chiefs. It is not It is not the bureaucracy, it is the people. Everything that's been created has been created by us. Through our labor, through our intellect, through our efforts. Stop giving them exorbitant privilege. Stop giving them exorbitant privilege. Because if you really want to say that we have a democracy, that rule of law is front and center, then stop allowing it. Stop giving exorbitant privilege, whether it's your minister or your pastor or some bureaucrat or your police or your fucking so-called judges and or regulatory agencies or your local or state or federal. Stop giving them exorbitant privileges. Hold them accountable. Hold them accountable. And if they start using violence, use it back. Because that's the only way you're going to stop it. Fear is a factor. And fear is what makes people stop doing things that are unlawful. Because when we don't stop it, then when we don't stop it, we end up giving them exorbitant privilege. What's that saying about evil? If you see evil and you don't do anything, I forget exactly. I think you know what I'm talking about. Something about when evil persists because when good men do nothing. Well, it's I hate using good men. Yeah, it's when good people don't do something to stop it. Do something to stop. That's what basically comes out to. And it doesn't matter if your family member is committing that unlawful act or that evil. We need to come together and stand up and say, forcefully, unacceptable. You will pay, and if you think you're going to intimidate us as a collective, you got another thing coming. That is how you stop it.